Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 66. My name is Red. I am joined by Mel.
Hello. No bit this week. I can't come up with anything original, much like the writers of the show.
Also joined by Brad.
Right down the street, huh?
Right down the street, they're just there. Coming up on the Return of Ultraman, we've got... You remember last week, 2 weeks ago, when we joked, hey, how long until they pair him up with Mikawa? And also joked, hey, what if they get they bring Jiro back? He moves in next to Rumiko and Jiro again. And both of those things basically happen. Also, some weird vibes. Some weird vibes on this third episode. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. So was he saying Return of Ultraman intentional there?
Oh. It was not. It was not intentional at all. Ultraman Ace. That's the one. It's, they're doing Return of Ultraman again. But yeah, before we get to any of that, just a quick preamble. We've got a bit of a deadline today, but I'll start. Officer, I have a DSi, and I have maybe done some things with it. Now I can't, I would not attempt to, return it anywhere anytime soon. I think the warranty is maybe voided. But this means I can play any game. I can play DS games. Here's the thing: I had a DS Lite when the DS was current, and I didn't play any good. I got maybe 2 games for the DS based on reviews, based on things people had said about them. Was, oh yeah, that's a good game. Which was Zelda Spirit Tracks, which I don't know how Zelda fans feel about that one. And Dragon Quest 9, which fair play. It's Dragon Quest 9. But what I did used to do was I used to buy the UK video game journalism publication official Nintendo magazine, which was not owned by Nintendo. They just covered Nintendo games. And
doesn't sound very official.
Yeah, I found all of them in the loft at my parents' place, and I still have them. And I was like, well, I'll mod this DSi, and then what I'll use these magazines for is I will time travel. I will, chronologically, I'll flip through one of these magazines and see if there's a DS game in there that I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Just so that I'm not, just to get a sort of wider look at DS games than just, the big ones everyone recommends you play. So that's going to be fun. I started with Professor Layton and the Curious Village because the first thing I did was I installed a bunch of the ones that everyone tells you to play on the DS, and I've never played a Professor Layton game. And it now...
Listen to our Mirror Man coverage, by the way. No reason in particular.
He does not fuck. Confirmed. Okay. This is maybe a strange position to take on a Professor Layton game, but were there perhaps way more puzzles than I was expecting? Yes. I was not expecting, there's 120 puzzles in the base game.
Oh yeah.
And I think I could count on one hand, maybe 2, the number of those puzzles that are based within the context of trying to solve the mystery of the game. The rest.
You better hide that DS. It really sounds like they're onto you.
Yeah, they're coming. it's like everyone just gives you a puzzle, and it's like just like, hey, solve this puzzle. I'm like, well, I thought they were going to be tied into the game. They're not tied into the mystery at all. They're just you just do loads of puzzles.
Sometimes they do that a bit more in the future games, but a bulk of them are just like, yeah, I just couldn't do this. This is more just like an excuse to put a lot of puzzles in the game.
Yeah. I mean, fair play. I like puzzles. I do have one other. I liked the Professor Layton and the Curious Village. I thought it was good. I had a good time with it.
It's a good game.
Good game. I have one complaint, and that is, I don't know if this is an issue in the localization or in the original script. Some of the wordings on these puzzles are a little too loose. There's like a couple of situations where they word things in a way which creates, they're like logic puzzles and they need to be tight, and they're worded in ways that create wiggle room. And I have to kind of like guess at what the game is trying to get me to guess. And it's not very often. Like it's mostly good, but it's just like every now and then there's like a classic type of puzzle where it's like, oh, there's 4 guys stood next to each other. This one stood on stairs. This one is once blah blah blah, and they describe 2 guys as not being next to each other, and then they describe 2 guys as being 1 step apart from each other. And I'm like, okay, do you mean next to each other, or do you mean there's a step between them? And it's because you've worded it differently from not next to each other. I'm like, do you mean next to each other, or do you mean something else? And it's just little bits of wiggle room like that annoyed me a little bit every now and then, but that's these minor things. It's Professor Layton. He's a big deal for a reason. This is I would like to come in with a report. Britain's not like that. Britain's not like that. There are ways that Britain is. I like the character designs. I think they're very fun. This is very kind of like Britain via France, but like via anime.
But also, it's a level 5.
It's fun
Joint.
Yeah, I like it.
Make sure you get the code from the second game to unlock the thing in this game.
There's a code in the second game to unlock something in this game? Okay. I will bear that in mind.
In the first game?
Yeah, they do it through the trilogies. They have like something in Curious Village unlocks something in the second game, and the second game unlocks something for both the first and the third game.
Oh.
And stuff like that.
That's fun.
That's kind of fun.
I will keep that in mind.
Games need to do that more.
There's some post game stuff if you finish all the puzzles and stuff.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm not doing right now just because I'm puzzled out. That's a lot of puzzles. Yeah. That's a lot of fucking puzzles.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. I don't know how I managed back in the day. I also have to ask. Was I crazy for comparing this to Myst?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's okay. I see how you got there with like describing it as like the screens that the fixed screens that you move between. Myst very different. Myst is literally like movement. It's like a solid space that you move between by moving between nodes rather than like, and it's. You can turn and look around, and the ways that you can turn are fixed as well in Myst, and then Myst puzzles are very like within the world and mechanical and stuff like that, and I do think sometimes barely puzzles. Yeah,
I do think some of the later games do add a bit more in the world puzzles, but also the majority are.
Yes.
Out of context. Just here you go.
I have 12 matchstick. Yes. But yeah, that's me. That's all I did. I'm going to be continuing time traveling just because I missed out on the DS despite having one. I played Mario Kart DS. That was one of the other actually good games I had. That's my.
I'm so curious to see what makes you want to take the plunge into something. Like, are you gonna read coverage of Naruto Ninja Council 2 and be like, yeah, I need this in my life?
Well, I read a preview and a review of Kirby Superstar Ultra, which is a collection of tiny Kirby games on the DS.
Also known as the best Kirby game ever made.
That's one of my favorite games. It's
is it?
The remake of the Super Nintendo game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm playing. I played 2 of the chapters of that this morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing with Ultra is it's like it's a remake of the Super Nintendo game, and then also adds another 50% game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every time I have played a Kirby game since then, I've gone, why can't they just make one this good again?
And it's tiny. It's tiny. So I'm just like
I think Robobot and Forgotten Worlds get pretty close, but also I think there's something unique about the Superstar / Ultra approach of this is just a collection of mini campaigns, which is I think the only thing like it that I can think of is Misadventures of Tron Vaughn and Live Alive. Live Alive.
Live Alive's so good. Live Alive's so fucking good.
We need more Live Alive likes.
Yeah. The not you, Octopath. Get out of here. The other consequence of me time traveling is getting to witness 2000s and very early 2010s video game journalism, British video game journalism.
Yes, racism.
Yes. Race. Just seeing what kind of consensus you were allowed to just assume everyone agreed with. This is an era where they're just straight up saying turn-based games are fucking bad. Just straight up, they're just like this game's not turn this new Final Fantasy is not turn this new JRPG is not turn-based. That means it's better. I'm like, oh, okay. This is where we came from. So yes, that is what I'm doing. I didn't have as many as I thought I had, so it's only covering a couple of years quite late in the DS and then early in the 3DS, and so I'm so that's just checking things out. Mostly I've just put a bunch of classics on a card that I've plugged into my DSi, and I'm having a good time.
Looking forward to when you get to the early 3DS covers and go, oh man, this Mega Man Legends 3 game looks good. I should get that.
Oh, I should. It'll be in there. Their Mega Man Legends 3 preview will be in this magazine somewhere. Absolutely.
Possibilities.
Yeah. I'll make sure to send you a photo. But yeah, that's me this week.
I've come with one thing this week. There's other things I could talk about, but I will wait until I am in a more complete form to discuss them. What I have completed is American Horror Story Murder House.
Was it bad?
Oh, it was terrible. If I had a nickel for every show I talked about that for some reason dealt with a supernatural pregnancy resulting in Hitler twins on this podcast, I would have 2 nickels, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Why does this keep happening in my life?
You're cursed.
Yeah, that show. So I will give them credit.
What?
For one thing, so last time I checked in on the show, I talked about how they were hyping up the
school shooter boy.
The school shooter boy. That is all just a feint for them to double down on. No, he's even worse than you thought. Which actually was pretty good. So I will give them credit there. The show realizes how much this guy fucking sucks and does not deserve any sympathy whatsoever. And I was extremely not expecting that from how they were writing him initially. What I will not give them credit for is that every woman in this show is motivated by one thing, and that is babies. Everyone wants these fucking twins to claim them as their own. The final act of this show are a bunch of ghost women and one live woman who's carrying the children having a war, and like there's unique factions with other like men and ghosts involved over these fucking babies. It's ridiculous. I can't believe that's where this went. It's just not good. It really starts to lose the horror angle. Like, I don't really think there was anything in the show that I genuinely thought was all that scary. They just rely so hard on cliche, but they don't have the heart or the finesse to really give it, you know, the proper, I don't want to say room, but I don't think they really have what it takes to make anything land. Like, one scene that I constantly think about is there's a scene where she has like a pregnancy scare and she needs to run to the hospital, and then the woman looks at like the imaging like monitor or whatever of the babies, and she just faints. And like that on its own is kind of like, oh god, like what did she see sort of thing. And then later she goes to visit her at a church and she's like, you're carrying the devil in you. And it's just the most overblown like soap opera melodramatic thing. I'm like, this just ruined any tension that we had here with what could possibly be going on with this mysterious mystical pregnancy. And yeah, it just really goes for things that I don't think it has the equipment to handle. Like, it gets into like weird teenager self-harm stuff in a way that I don't really know that they have the familiarity or really the respect to even really be messing with. It's just kind of a disaster all the way down. That being said, it is kind of fun to watch a train wreck. I'm very excited for season 2, which is about a asylum, which I'm sure is gonna be great and very respectful.
Oh, hell yeah. That's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
Man.
It's
Brought to you by Blooper Team.
It honestly kind of has that vibe from what I know of like Layers of Fear and their other stuff. Show gets really weird about suicide too in ways I'm just kind of like, okay. The other thing is that the show has, like, there are ghost mechanics obviously to the show of like how hauntings work, how haunted locations work, what ghosts can and cannot do, what they do and do not remember. And that seems to ebb and flow and change as they need something to happen in the show. To the point where by the end of it, I'm just like, I don't really believe or care anything they're saying about how ghosts work now, because I think it's all just bullshit. Like, they do the thing where they contact the psychic that has the big plan of, like, here's how you get rid of ghosts. And it doesn't work. And it doesn't really feel like the horror movie thing of, oh no, like, the evil is more mysterious and undiscovered than we thought, and like, can we ever truly get rid of it sort of thing. It just felt like they didn't want to get rid of the guy who's like, you know, playing the ghost, so they're just like, oh no, that didn't work. And it just ends up kind of feeling like nothing matters as they explain the supernatural reality of the show. And I almost wished that like in a slightly better version of the show, there's a way where they can play that to be like, oh, like, this is truly something otherworldly that we just will never be able to understand how they live or how to even live with this reality and how to engage with them in a way that allows us to be safe or feel any sense of peace. And instead it just feels like, oh, we still want this character around to monologue about how much a baby would improve their afterlife. So nothing works to get rid of them, and it's like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, terrible show. Speaking of reviews and old coverage at the time, there are so many old TV critics that are just like, yeah, this is just some of the best stuff on TV right now. And I was like, what was going on back then for you to say that? Because I don't believe you.
Was there a writer's strike at the time?
I don't actually know what year exactly that came out.
American Horror Story. Let me check this out. The Murder House. 2011. What was on TV in 2011? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's all I had. Tune in next week for the Alan Moore check-in.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah.
I guess we'll be watching. Man, anyway.
Yeah, and more. And more,
And
but
more.
yeah. And more with 2 O's. All right.
All right then. Mel, what you been up to?
All right, I need to. So I haven't been up to much, to be honest. Just been busy. I guess I've been kind of shmup pill lately, just playing some. Weirdly got into PC Engine games for some reason. I remembered I had a PC Engine mini, so I started playing that a bit. So that's been fun. But as far as things I can talk about, I'm gonna call in Brad for an assist. This is not have nothing to do with Marvel, which got announced. But anyway, we do have another versus thing to talk about, though.
Yeah. The iconic duo Mothra and Godzilla's hit first crossover movie, Mothra versus Godzilla. I think I have that order right, or is it Godzilla versus Mothra?
It's Mothra versus Godzilla.
All right. This is more of a Mothra movie than a Godzilla movie.
So, you know what? Makes sense with the title.
Yeah. So this movie, much like the Kong versus Godzilla movie that we watched and talked about a few dozen episodes back, Godzilla's around causing problems. People are not respecting nature / Mothra, and there's
to be clear, this movie starts with an ultra cute classic, giant egg found.
Yeah, and no one can be normal about it. In fact, much like the Kong crossover, there's a bunch of weird businessmen that are like, how do we profit off of this? And then kaiju fights happen, and everyone, all of our main characters just kind of walk around and go, oh, this sucks. Mothra, please help.
Yeah, also, unfortunately, because it's a Mothra movie, so there's some kind of collar tugging with the Pacific Island people.
Yep. Yeah.
But, I had fun. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was all right. I
don't think it was. I think Kong versus Godzilla was a bit better.
Yeah, same. That was kind of my takeaway.
This felt like it did feel like a good marriage between like Kong versus Godzilla and the original Mothra, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like integrating like the Mothra isms into like the framework of the the versus Godzilla stuff, where it's like, well, there's guys trying to capitalize on this stuff, but also it's like a Mothra angle rather than the King Kong sort of like a TV ratings angle kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about this with Kong versus Godzilla, but I love that, like, the old conception of what a crossover movie means like this, at least for, like, these Toho ones, is we remake miniature versions of both movies together into one movie, and then they fight at the end. It's kind of funny.
It's pretty good. Like, we get... you got the Mothra stuff. You can even get a baby Mothra... Twin Mothra tag team fight at the end, which is fun. Parts where like the footage with Mothra versus Godzilla looks really sped up for some reason.
Like the Godzilla versus Kong movie.
I think it was Godzilla Raids Again had the speed up.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got them mixed up there.
We got Kenji Sahara here as like a bastard. Financier. Like there's this businessman who just like, yeah, I bought this egg, and the scientists were like, I don't think you can do that, but I guess we can't stop you. But like his financier it makes him foot the bill, and then like Godzilla's coming to their hotel, so they have a fist fight, and like one of them gets shot and killed by the other.
That was my favorite scene of the movie.
It's a really good scene. It's probably the best part of the movie.
Just like Godzilla stomping towards your fucking hotel and you're fist fighting over comically large amount of like money in
Yeah.
a safe, and then
Really-
a gun gets involved. It's great.
Surprisingly bloody fight too. Just like Kenji's gets like a bloody nose from it,
Yeah.
and then of course he just gets squished, which is good. And there's some nice commentary too, where it's like, "Damn, you want us to help us when your country did nuclear testing on our island? What the fuck?" 'Cause that's another element of this movie. But yeah, I feel like it's better than some of the other kaiju ones we've seen recently, but not as good as Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, I kind of my takeaway from that is it was weird to me because I was like, I kind of wish that they went almost a different angle with the larger framing story than like oh, shitty businessman again, because I don't think that they were able to have as much fun with it as they did with Godzilla and Kong, with the shitty like TV producer being like, oh, we gotta hype up the fight, we're gonna make a great show out of this, and instead it's just there's a big egg, surely we can get rich off of this, and it's like, okay. It just seemed like a little bit of a retread in that way. But overall, pretty fun. Like, yeah, I like this more than, like, Atragon.
Yeah. But yeah, it was neat. It was interesting seeing, like, they're doing a template crossover for the first time with their own original properties before it becomes the verse.
I am wondering now if all of these big crossover movies, if Godzilla just kind of exists to get, like, dunked on. Which is funny if that's the case, but...
Well, I think I read this is the last one he's, like, the villain.
Okay.
Because, like, well, next on our list we have Dagora, which is not Godzilla, but one after that is Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. So,
yeah.
That'll be fun when we get to it.
Yeah, I've never seen a Ghidorah thing before, and I've been waiting, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Sick.
Stay tuned.
All right. Well, if that's all we've got, we can get straight into Ultraman Ace.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately, yes.
Sounds like someone can't see the star in the sky right now.
Yeah, someone can't see the
Not
star of
cloudy.
Ultra.
Honestly, it's pretty cloudy where I'm at too.
It's fucking hot where I am at. It's sunny as hell. All right, episode 29. The Sixth Ultra Brother. Boo! Featuring Underground Choju, Gita Gitanga, and Underground Terrible Being? Ungramon? I don't know. The crew are called in to investigate a strange attack on a factory, multiple victims injured, but with no signs of external injury. Also, there is a strong smell of alcohol. Hokuto and Mikawa, who have immediately been paired up for patrols, motherfucker. Hokuto and Mikawa come across a boy named Dan. Yes, he's called Dan. Dan is important. So let me give you the breakdown.
Should be noted, Hokuto's like, Dan, that's a good name, huh?
Yeah,
Shut the fuck up.
yeah. Dan gets his name from the words for determination and other stuff. His mother died in childbirth. His dad died due to driving drunk, allegedly. He lives with his beautiful older sister, is what the kids say. And finally, he's always getting bullied by this group of boys, and he's always trying to prove himself.
I wonder if he's going to be important.
Dan claims to see a star in the daytime, and the boys pick a fight with him over it, which is hilarious, but Hokuto is like, you see it too? It's the Star of Ultra. He doesn't say it's the Star of Ultra. Dan claims that a voice told him Gita Gitanga will attack tonight. That night, just as predicted, the crew encounter the underground Choju, Gita Gitanga, and it tells them that humans have been pumping up groundwater and it's been causing havoc in an underground civilization, so you have to stop doing that, or else the attacks will continue. There is literally no further discussion about this in the episode. First and last time this comes up. The fight is indecisive, both sides retreat. Continuing the investigation, Hokuto turns up information that Dan has to know. He finds Dan and tells him, your dad wasn't driving drunk. He was trying to save a nearby woman from Gita Gitanga by crashing his car. He was actually a perfect hero all along. And because of the Choju, because of the Choju's gas having a heavy smell of alcohol, everyone assumed wrong about your dad. And Dan's like, okay, why didn't Ultraman save him? And Hokuto's like, well, I guess your dad...
busy getting divorced.
I guess your dad didn't have the courage to wait for Ultraman and tried to solve the problem himself, which is going to cause a schism among the Ultra Brothers, considering this is a violation of OG Ultraman doctrine. People have to try to do something before they're worthy of being saved. Anyway, Dan runs off and finds the underground being Ungramon, who is the one summoning and controlling Gita Gitanga.
Yeah, he's just walking the graveyard for some reason.
Yeah, he's just out there. Ungramon notices Dan and chases him off the side of a cliff, and Dan is just hanging on by a branch. The crew arrives and a big battle ensues. Hokuto goes to save Dan, but Dan persuades him to fight the Choju first. Dan promises not to give in. He'll see the Star of Ultra, which you can only see when you're determined not to give in. He'll keep on keeping on, I guess. Play the music. Hokuto transforms into Ace on his own, like a fucking loner, and he fights the two Choju. Things are looking rough, but he remembers Dan's words and refuses to give up. He beats both Choju. Afterwards, Hokuto and Dan have a heart-to-heart, and Dan can see the Star of Ultra all the time now. He says, wow, I must be the 6th Ultra Brother or something. And Hokuto's like, yeah, that's right, kid. The 6th Ultra Brother. The end.
Me looking 8 weeks into the future.
Now, let's all cast our mind back and remember that Minami got to the I can't remember her name, the actor, was also given this script.
Got the script.
Also got this script.
It's Mitsuko Hoshi.
Okay, Mitsuko Hoshi. So, yeah, she got kicked off the show, and I guess by mistake, or someone being a bitch, sent her this script as well. And my
understanding was,
yeah,
from what I was told, is confirmation you're not in the show anymore.
Yes, like holy shit! What the fuck? They just replaced her with a kid. They replaced her with Jiro too.
Okay, so this is something I have foggy memories of, because it's from years ago, and I wasn't an episode that I fully watched. But for me, this had the energy of the episode of 2.5 Men where they just open up on Charlie Sheen's funeral, and then like 10 minutes later, Ashton Kutcher comes into the window and is like, well, I'm a main character now.
Oh. Right. Yeah. This is wild.
The
worst part is that I watched this entire episode thinking this kid was a one-off.
And then you loaded up the next episode?
And he was still there, because I finished this episode, I was like, was this someone's fucking kid? Like, what? And then the next episode started, I went, oh no, it's even worse than I thought.
What, you don't like Jiro? You don't like that Jiro's back? You don't like
Here's the thing.
Hokuto has a Jiro?
I like Jiro. Jiro has charisma and a personality.
They should. Yeah. What should happen is Jiro should come back and kill this child.
That'd be pretty good.
Replace him immediately. Now, is it unfair of us to hate a child? Maybe. However, the child must understand the context. So fuck this kid. I absolutely out of my sight immediately. Represents the crimes that were committed in a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, like I known for a while that, like, you know, she was getting replaced, and I had some suspicion that, like, you know, I heard there was like a kid comes by, so I kind of knew, but I feel like my visceral reaction to the post retool was more than expected, even with foreknowledge. I was just like, hold on, I prepared a little video to describe my feelings on this batch of episodes, for your pleasure and maybe the audience, if I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
It sucking fucks. It fucking sucks. It fucking blows. It's a piece of shit, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He's in the news, and by the news I mean on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, I know something funny.
The idea of him has been folded.
Do you want to know something funny?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I watched this movie, which was bad, and then the same day that YouTube video dropped.
Nice.
Lol. Well, what else is going? We do unfortunately have to talk about the episode. Yeah.
Can I say one thing about fucking whatever Green Man's name is? I've already forgotten.
Ungramon?
Yes. Especially in that graveyard scene, it feels like they shoot him at a very inconsistent scale. I don't know if either of you two had this, but like something about the way he shot, I'm like, it feels like he keeps changing size. and like not like the way that like
this. But
not like the way that Choju typically do, but more like they can't decide when he's big and when he's not sometimes. It's very weird.
Speaking of Ungramon and Gita Gitanga, the eco stuff is just like they just throw this in here and then they just don't talk about it. It's just
nothing.
It's just nothing. It's nothing. Like I'm like, oh, so they should stop pumping the groundwater. And then no, we just kill it. We just kill it because it's inconvenient. Ultraman is here. The Hokuto.
Yeah, Ultraman's a hero with heart, don't you know?
Ultraman's a hero with heart. He's so remorseful.
He's so remorseful. The way he just like gently places the frill he ripped off of Jirus's corpse.
We're in subtweeting territory here, and we're calling people out. Are you all watching the same show we're watching? What are you talking about? Anyway, what else is going on in this episode?
I think everything involving the dad sucks.
Yes, when he's like, oh, he was so admirable, and then he did this one terrible thing and died for it, and then at the end it's like, no, Dan, don't you know your dad was a perfect man, completely. Like the fact that the kids are bullying you over your dad dying from drunk driving, the reason it's bad that they're bullying you is because he didn't do that.
Remember that episode?
You can see the kaiju peeking out over the wall.
Yeah, it's right there.
So
in the background.
Not only do we have the whole thing about like everything involving like, oh, your dad didn't have the courage to wait for Ultraman, going against the weird fucked up Old Testament logic of like original Ultraman. Everything about that scene where Hokuto is like, wait, we need to see him make this jump over this like waterway or whatever, because he like pole vaults over it or whatever, and Hokuto's like, we need to see if he's got it. I'm like, this is leaning into like, remember that scene where, or the Return of Ultraman episode where Go realizes he can't necessarily be a replacement father or brother for Jiro, and maybe it's all right if he's just like a good mentor figure. I feel like we just shat all over that with the way that Hokuto and this kid interact too, and it's just
there's not
crap all the way down.
We wrote the woman out of the show, and now we're going back full in toxic patriarchy.
It really feels like it.
Yeah, there's none of the weird kind of grace that they managed to pull off with Go and Jiro. Like that moment you talked about was genuinely like, I was like, it took me aback. I was like, I wasn't expecting you to pull that off after you had to get rid of two characters because of production stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just
Yeah,
clumsy,
it probably does
stupid.
help that like Jiro was there from episode 1, and we just like,
yeah, he wasn't
a guy.
He wasn't coming in to replace someone. Man, who made this episode?
Eizo Yamagiwa.
I'm so happy this man is taking L's every week now. Thank God.
Maybe this was his start of darkness.
Oh, this is what got him started. Oh, wow, yeah.
And then written by someone named Shukei Nagasaka, who has nothing, again, written about him.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you tried your best.
Yeah.
Do we have any other stuff, Mel?
Yeah. Ungramon is by Akihiko Higuchi. Gita Gitanga is by Yoshio Suzuki, and apparently has a weird backstory to its name. Apparently, the famous playwright Jiro Kara, real name Yoshihide Otsuru, met up with the staff of Ace for whatever reason just one day, and they were out drinking, and they brought up his son Giten Otsuru, who was 4 years old, and the staff was like, "Oh, that's a unique name. Let's name a kaiju after."
Oh, nice.
Funnier still, this is notable because Giten would grow up to become a novelist and director and TV personality himself. So, somehow this famous person in Japan has a kaiju named after them from when they were 4.
That's funny. That's good.
There's also special effects director is Kazuo Sagawa, and also we didn't mention. When I posted the video, we were talking about the Angry Video Game Nerd for the audience contest.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case.
Yes. Okay. Do we have anything more to say about this episode?
It's bad.
I don't want to rush us, but I think the next two have more happening.
Yes, I agree.
The third one especially, I feel like, has a lot happening in ways. So, episode 30, You Can See the Star of Ultra, featuring Black Cloud Choju Red Jack. This must be the Jack that people are talking about when we talk about Ultraman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They keep naming Choju
famous
after
recurring
me.
kaiju Red Jack.
Yeah. TAC Base is receiving strange readings. Could be a Choju. They need to cordon off the area and see if it develops. Hokuto, in his infinite genius, lets an ambulance with 3 people through, as an old woman could die if she doesn't get treatment. Instead, all 3 of them die when the ambulance is stepped on by Red Jack, a Choju that forms out of weird
please make
smoke.
the trolley problem meme, but like somehow a version of this. I'm begging you.
A girl on a bike blames Hokuto for the death of her mother and her grandma. Both were in the ambulance. Back at base, Yamanaka is like, he killed 3 people. And I'm like, true. It's so true, bestie.
That's okay. Everyone else in the room also would have killed 3 people.
Yeah, everyone else is cagey about blaming him.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know,
No,
maybe
to be
I would have
fair,
killed 3 people.
Kono's on the fence.
Yeah, Kono's on the fence. He's unsure.
Yeah. In times
After
like these, it'd be nice if like Hokuto had some kind of like foil,
Yeah.
a character he could confide into who he knew very well and personally, with some insight into it.
I'm just imagining a scene where Hokuto walks over to their stupid little computer terminal. He's like, hold on, let me just call Pluto real quick. Okay, Minami, hypothetically, if you were at a roadblock.
Now a friend of mine. Some guy I know.
After a second incident with the Choju, where Hokuto takes Dan into the danger zone to find the girl's bike, the captain is like, okay, man, you gotta take some time off. You killed 3 people and then put a child in harm's way to retrieve a bike. Come on.
What happened is like, there's this cop who's like, he's portrayed very like sleazily and slimy, but he's being like, no, just leave the bike. Don't bring the kid in.
It's a bike. What are you talking about?
Is this also the scene where, like, before they rush into the capital D, capital Z danger zone, he's like, can you see the Star of Ultra, Dan?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I can. And then they rush in for the fight.
and then we have like the really tacky signs, and then these motorcycle guys are like, yo, let's just go. Let's go in with style.
Yeah, motorcyclists are evil. We've established this.
Yeah, bikers are evil. Youths are evil, unless they're children.
Super Eye being like, remember, characters who ride motorcycles are evil, and you shouldn't watch their TV shows.
Yes. And then they get injured, die, or whatever. But yeah, back at base, the captain is like, okay, matters of accountability will have to be discussed once this case is resolved, etc., etc. Go home. Hokuto heads back home, and it turns out he lives next to Dan and his beautiful older sister, and I'm never joking about shit like that again. I can't believe it happened.
You really just down the whole thing next door?
I was smiling so hard. I was like, we joked about it. I didn't think they'd honestly do it. They just did it again. They're like, the formula worked well the first time. Fuck it.
I'm livid. Okay. And then some more stuff to make me mad happens. She compliments how clean his apartment is and says she likes a man in uniform. And then Hokuto starts to look all shifty and nervous. And so it's like, not being in tack is a knock to his masculinity. Fuck you. Fuck your show. Anyway. The Choju attacks
They
again.
Yeah. I couldn't... They play her as, like, way younger than he is, too, in a way that I did not like.
It's like... The
vibes are bad.
I can't get, like, a read on this, necessarily. But yeah, I'm unsure. The Choju attacks again, and oh yeah?
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm not getting all the same stuff you're getting, but that's partly because I was like, I don't care about this, so I'm going to only half pay attention.
Yeah, checked out. The Choju attacks again, and Dan, in an effort to impress some other kids, has run off into danger again, without being able to see the Star of Ultra this time, and it's to acquire a trophy to prove he was up close to the Choju. Hokuto rescues Dan, admonishes him for endangering himself, and then Yamanaka gets injured. Hokuto and Dan save Yamanaka, and Hokuto runs off to turn into Ace. He fights Red Jack, he wins. Meanwhile, Taka busy crashing more jets. Someone should investigate this. Like, what's their budget?
Yamanaka and Dan are just watching the fight.
Yeah. Hokuto returns to the crew and they welcome him back, Yamanaka included. Why do people feel positively about Hokuto when Ace wins? They know. They all know. Dan is pleased with his trophy, a little bottle cap he found on the floor in the moment he learned his lesson. Hokuto should also get a trophy to help him learn his lesson. A bullet in the head from Yamanaka's gun. I'm sick of this dude. The end. I hate Hokuto. This guy sucks.
Yeah. I will give one positive thing for this episode. I do think the premise of the monster is a weird, like, mysterious cloud, and, like, people gotta go to the hospital. Like, people need to, like, travel and go about their day, and you know... that becomes a problem. I was like, in a vacuum, I like that idea. Everything around that, terrible.
In a vacuum on. Yes, the idea of portraying, like, the difficulties of just, like, being, like being cops, like being like, well, we set up a cordon, and it's like, well, we have to get through. We have to get through this. This woman is dying, and it's like, how much dying? I like.
Yeah.
All three of you could die. I don't. And I do.
I like
wish
the
show
girl tries to run over Hokuto with a bike.
Yes. Yes. There's one other incredible highlight of this episode, which I have noted as Hokuto's great leap forward. Which is the moment when someone calls to him and Dan's sister while they're at a table, and his sister gets up normally and walks off screen, and Dan leaps from one side of the table to the other from a sitting position, like out of frame, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I think I missed this.
It's wild. It's really funny. The bit where, like, Hokuto's masculinity is threatened by not being intact is like, we kicked the woman out, and within 2 episodes, we have made Tak, being in Tak like something that is manly.
Yeah, it's like his masculinity was threatened by the fact he had to fuse with a girl before, and now he needs to man up to compensate.
Yeah. Fucking sucks. Fucking blows.
And I don't like it.
Oh, go ahead, Mel.
I was just gonna say I don't like it.
Oh, yeah. What I don't like, too, is this Star of Ultra thing fucking sucks. I hate it so goddamn much. Because all we're getting out of this now is when the child is bad or being a wimp or being a coward, according to the show's logic. Oh, he can't see the star, and then Hokuto has to admonish him for it. It's like this weirdly punitive, like, thing. And then when he's acting like a real man, he's gonna grow up to be like a brave hero, Hokuto can be like, yes, like, can you see the star? And the boy can confidently nod back and say, yes, I can see the star, Mr. Hero, and then they can run into danger together, when the kid has no business being here or doing anything. It sucks. I hate it. It is, we already used the term, but like, it's just like this weird sort of like replication of patriarchy and like handing that down to like little kids that I none of this is good. It's bad.
Even when they brought Jiro back in this show, they treated him better.
Yeah.
Damn, you're right.
Really
Jiro's episode was good.
It was. I feel like
we got Venom Go.
They're doing the thing a lot of kid shows do. That, like, I understand why this is an appeal. I feel like even when I was younger, I didn't care for it, but they want this kid to be the stand-in for the little boys watching this show so bad, and like, you can go on the big adventures too. And it's just making the show worse.
Yeah. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's the adding. It's like Scrappy Doo shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Who made this episode? So this was made by a new director called Sei Okamura, who I believe I looked up and I couldn't find too much info on, but I believe also worked on Kamen Rider X or Cross. I don't know which one that is.
It's X is the one after V3, I think.
Okay. And then also, I believe, directed one of the Golgo 13 anime movies.
Ooh.
So that's Sei Okamura. And then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi.
Okay. For those unfamiliar, Golgo 13 is one of those things that's like a huge deal that's been going forever in Japan. And it didn't really get big here.
Unfortunately, mangaka, I think, passed away like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I think people have continued that manga, but yes, R.I.P.
I keep meaning, and I think it's on sale right now, actually. I keep meaning to buy that like live action movie they made, which was a co-production between Japan and Iran. We've talked about it. We've talked about it here for production history stuff at one point for another, because I think someone who did like Tsuburaya stuff was involved with that. But
damn.
You know, I'm gonna just buy it right now. Fuck it.
You're not really checked in on this episode.
Yeah, no.
I have one.
1973 Japanese Iranian film. That's wild.
Yeah. One more thing I have to say before we go into Mel's trivia. Red Jack's roundhouse kick is sick. He does.
I need to look at that again.
He does a big roundhouse kick on a building. It's good.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That reminds me, Godzilla was pretty clumsy in that movie we watched.
Yeah.
Most of his destruction was him like tripping, like, oops.
Lol.
Crushed a castle.
Yeah, sometimes you're big and you trip.
That's how I'd be.
Yeah.
Mel.
Yeah.
You got some stuff on this episode?
Yeah. Special effects director Koichi Kawakita, Red Jack, Yoshio Suzuki. That's it.
Okay. Cool. Do we have anything more about this episode?
I think I've just about the kid who the little girl in this episode constantly blaming Hokuto of like, you're the reason my mom and my grandmother are dead. Pretty funny.
Her and Yamanaka should start a hating club.
True. The one thing where I'm like, okay, come the fuck on, though, is I think she drops a line that's like, oh, the only thing I have to remember them by is my precious bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, shut the fuck up.
Hokuto kills 3 people. Hokuto kills those people. He should be fired. He should not be in TAC anymore. I want to get Kurata on the line. He'd help. He'd help with this. But yeah, that's kind of the episode. The next episode 31, from Ultra 7 to Ultraman Ace.
Or as I
You
like
did
to
that
call
already.
it, or as I like to call it, peaks and valleys.
Yes, featuring Tapir Choju Bakutari. So, a black comet appears in the sky. At TAC HQ, a little girl appears called Mio. She requests Hokuto's help, and the crew start joking around that she's his girlfriend. And I'm like, After learning how she snuck in, the captain asks Hokuto to drive her home. Mio's directions in the car instead lead to a zoo, where old man Bakuyama is feeding and talking to a tapir named Baku. Baku sticks his big phallic tapir nose up Mio's skirt, and I'm like, a group of boys watching this say, Baku understands men. And I'm like, Bakuyama comments that Baku isn't talking to him like usual, and while no one's looking, Baku suddenly disappears. A Choju appears in the middle of Tokyo and starts causing havoc. The crew launches in TAC spaces and deals some damage to the Choju, and then it vanishes. At the zoo, Baku reappears, now with a wound to match the one the crew gave the Choju. Mio's request is for Hokuto to help Baku, and Hokuto follows her to Bakuyama's place. Some old women see this and talk about, that weirdo Bakuyama, and how if Mio hangs out with him, he'll turn her into a tapir. And I'm like, Bakuyama explains why he can talk to tapirs. When he was a child, he was scared of having nightmares and would hang around tapirs because they eat your dreams. And now he wouldn't know how to live without this comfort. Mio also doesn't want to have nightmares, and that's how she met Bakuyama and started hanging around tapirs too. Baku has been acting funny ever since the day Hokuto saw that black comet. Back at the zoo, Baku disappears, Choju appears, has an acid spray, disappears when Bakuyama asks him to settle down, Baku reappears, confirmed Baku is the Choju. Just to blitz through that. The crew take Baku in, and there's a full meeting of multiple government bodies to decide what is to be done with this tapir. The conclusion, execution by firing squad. We're so back. A journalist...
This was the singular part of the episode I liked.
Yeah.
It's
This
pretty
is
good.
like, from this moment on, I'm like, well, maybe this episode has got it. But a journalist is doing public interviews for the news about executing Baku, and Mio says it's wrong. And the interviewer's like, this stupid child thinks we shouldn't gun down a tapir by firing squad. Bakuyama and Mio both try to intervene in some way, beg for the execution to stop, but the firing squad fires, and Baku turns into the Choju Bakutari instead of dying. Big surprise. Bakutaru immediately melts the firing squad with the acid spray. There's a big fight, but Bakuyama calls out to Bakutari and persuades him to stop fighting. Ultra 7 arrives, tells Ace not to kill Bakutari, and then turns it back into Baku after flying into space. The day is saved. Mio keeps hanging out with this old guy in the tapirs. What about all that stuff about avoiding nightmares? Where did all the creep shit go? You just forgot about all that? What is this episode? Then yeah.
How the tapir survive the vacuum of space?
How did the tapir survive the vacuum of space? And then at the very end, Dan shows up and is like, by the way, I'm the 6th Ultra Brother. Shut up, kid. You weren't in the episode. Don't you have homework to do? Get the fuck out of here.
It's crazy how twice in this episode you could say, and then also Dan shows up.
Yeah, yes.
They hear Zoffy's Ultra 7.
They hear
It should have been Zoffy.
It should always be Zoffy. It's funnier that way.
Exactly.
Elephant in the room. What's going on with Mio? What's going on here?
I think he's finding there's a tapir in the room.
There's a tape. Yeah, you're right. There is the tapir in the room. What? Excuse me? What's going on here?
This is bad.
Half the episode is about this, and then they give up.
Yeah.
Because
I checked out the episode the moment the really gross scene happened. I was like, what the fuck? This is
it's like
actually atrocious.
It's really weird. It's like, and so I was like, okay, this is like dodgy. I'm just gonna lean in, see if I can just like what is this? And like I think they're going for something, and then they stop. Because they talk about the nightmare thing, and they talk about this creepy old guy, and how he's spent his life avoiding having nightmares. And I'm like, is this like a you never grew up thing? Is this like we have to face our fears thing? Is this like you can't coddle yourself like this forever thing? And this is like some kind of bizarre commentary on this weird guy and his relationship with this little girl. And I'm like, and then the episode's like, no, it's about how we shouldn't kill Baku. We have to save Baku. I'm like, what? And then they save Baku and they continue to hang out with him, and I'm like, what about the nightmare thing? Where did that go? What was the point of putting in the creep shit in the first place then? You're just what? Anyway.
Yeah, this felt really sloppy. I think the nightmare thing is literally just they wanted to squeeze in like folklore reference to like the Baku does, like in the old folklore, like folktales or whatever, the Baku eats dreams or whatever. I feel like they just wanted to squeeze that in, but like they do nothing with that. I feel it is, I think, a great sin to include an episode of your show featured on tapirs, one of the greatest creatures on Earth that evolution has granted us. I love those adorable little fuckers.
I didn't know we had a huge tapir fan on the podcast.
I'm a huge tapir fan. I love those little fuckers. They partially because you look at them and you're just like, oh, this should not exist. But like you do, and you're doing your thing, and I love you for it. They're cute. I love them. Also, from what I understand from tapirs, they do bite. They should probably have not let kids get that close to the tapir in the zoo. I don't know. Maybe they had like an animal trainer on board. But from what I understand, you're not supposed to actually just casually approach tapirs like that. They will attack you.
I think you'll find
Casually
the staff of
approaches
the show
tapir.
has a bad track record on dealing with animals.
Yeah, honestly.
This
at least
is
they
true.
don't pick this one up and, treat it like a briefcase.
Throw it on the ground.
Throw it. But the vibes were just bad. Yeah, did not like whatever they were going for. But to your point, I can't even put together any sort of coherent theme or anything that was happening this episode that isn't just like scavenged and scrounged up parts of like earlier Ultraman ideas of like, oh, sometimes it's just like an animal that we need to be nice and treat with peace and give charity and grace to. But then also there's like the weird ideas of like, oh, there's this creepy guy that has way too close of a connection to the kaiju. It feels like a Frankenstein episode of a bunch of disparate parts and pieces that we've already covered better elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's
it's gross too.
It's gross. It's the there's like the one truly offensive shot of like the tapir, putting his nose up her skirt, and it's like, what the you can't do that. You can't. This is like wild, and then to do that and then just not have anything about it is like, well, then I just have to assume you're just a fucking dodgy guy. Whoever made this,
them being skeevy and creepy. Like,
yeah, I just
about it.
Like, I simply have to assume that's what it is. If there's nothing, if there's nothing here, like, you know, I'll read Sayano Uta. That's doing things. That's like you know,
for people listening to this, we cannot stress enough. These are children. Like, it's bad. Note, editor's note. Play the Steam version of Sayano Uta. But you know, it's fucking. I just have to assume that this is just made by creeps. Like, there's nothing else.
This is a man's show now, right?
It's Jesus Christ. But also, it's like, is this a remnant of like an earlier idea from back when this show was supposed to be about people? And like, but like from the version of this show when we had like an incel villain.
When we had a villain, when we had Yapul, when we had a coherent vision of what the show was.
Yeah, when we had the intention of exploring like the darker sides of humanity. Like I don't anyway. The point is, this episode's a fucking mess, and it's got some skeevy shit in it. I do not like.
Well, it was in fact made by, once again directed by Sei Okamura, and then written by Masahiro Yamada, who we, a long time ago, appreciated because, he did the episodes that were like the Kanegan, Dragon Palace, I Saw a Bird, like, trio thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can feel it with all the Tapir stuff.
You can feel it with the Tapir stuff. This is a huge miss, my guy.
So, what I was about to say is, if you remember, the last time we talked about him, when he worked on Ultra 7, he did Max Respond, which was episode 4, which was, I think, like the spaceship one with the Godorians, which like was like the weird, like, everyone's shooting each other with lasers. That actually I think I was kind of up on. I think I was gone, and when you covered it, I left notes like, oh, I was kind of up on this, but you two weren't feeling it. But then the last episode he did was The Strolling Planet, which I don't think any of us liked at all.
I forgot that one.
The Strolling Planet was bad because it was boring and a mess.
Oh, yeah.
This is bad because it's vile.
This episode is not boring. This was the most engaged I was this week. However, not for necessarily good reasons. It's just weird exploitative stuff around this kid, and I'm just like, this is bizarre, and you're not saying anything with it. It's just bad. I don't like it.
Is this the worst week we've ever had?
Is it worse than the last week of Ultraman Ace we had? It might be, yes. Because
I think it is.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, I think those episodes were like, the context sucked, but the episodes were still decent. Like, even the episode we hated with Minimi, we were like, well, this is a good episode that's evil. But
yes. This is true.
And we also had like the pyramid. Well, I guess the pyramid one was kind of weak, but you know.
The other thing is that that's Minimi gone. This is like the replacement for Minimi gone, and the replacement is like, well, what did we get rid of Minimi for? We got rid of Minimi to do this.
It's worse than I think any of us thought it would be.
Like,
yes, absolutely.
I had no idea. Like, they got rid of Pool, they got rid of Minimi, and they got whatever this is.
Yeah. Anyway, you have mentioned who directed this episode and who wrote this episode. Mel, you got some stuff?
Yeah, just Strike Structure, Koichi Kawakita, and Bakatari designed by Yoshio Suzuki. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know
Justice for Tapirs.
Justice for Tapirs. I feel like I would have liked to have come with some more formulated thoughts on the whole Mio stuff, but I think we got there. I think it's There's just unfortunately just not. They just give up on it, and so it's like, well, there's nothing actually to talk about. It's just skeevy for no reason. All right. Do we have anything more? That is a no.
I'm real concerned about the rest of the run of the show, but we'll power through it.
Let me tell you, I'm not concerned. It's about to be 8 weeks of short podcasts.
That's true.
7 weeks now.
7 weeks. 7 weeks. I'm sorry. 7 weeks of pretty short podcasts. Because that's us kind of wrapped. Do you have color timers for us, Mal?
Yeah, I do. Episode 29, 2 minutes 51 seconds. Episode 30, 2 minutes 15 seconds. Episode 31, 2 minutes 20 seconds.
All right. Wait, were they all within the 3 minutes?
Yeah, somehow.
Wow. Maybe they should go back to breaking it because the show was better.
Yeah, hold on. Remember when they're like, oh, it's so much easier to write when it's just with the guy? What are you talking about? These episodes are terrible.
Garbage. It's funny that's the quote we picked up on, and we kind of settled on the idea that maybe he was trying to be nice about wanting to go work at a different company, but it is a really funny quote, so we are going to keep dunking on you, whoever you were. Very sorry.
Shozu Ohara.
That's the one. Rip to this show. Now, Mel, you mentioned you don't have a trivia run back this week?
No.
Okay. So, in which case, record timing.
Should finish Logan's email from last week.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We have a third of an email. Let's go.
Yeah, so digging up the middle section of this email. Now for thoughts on Ace, I meant to send in my thoughts in episode 28 when you guys covered it, but I straight up forgot, so I'm including it here. I knew Minmi was kicked off the show around the midpoint as well as why she was, and so I spent most of the show on my first watch waiting for it, and I was still pissed when it happened. Same with me. Why I did like the episode, it just feels dirty and unearned, especially knowing how her actress was treated. Yep. As for episode 29 to 31, I find funny that Jiro 2 was introduced in episode 29 to replace Minami is named Dan, but not to be confused with Jiro Dan, Hideki Go's actor. Or, Dan
Lots of
Roboshi.
Dans.
Well, his name has meaning.
Yeah.
I guess.
He's named
far, at
after a
least
bunch of things, and we're gonna take the piss. We're gonna take the piss out of this kid for being named after things.
So far, at least Jiro 2 does not have the weird sexism Jiro had.
The kid, less misogynist, less misogyny than Jiro. The show, though.
Yeah, he's being used as an implement of patriarchy, but he himself is as much a victim.
I want Jiro to show up and I want this kid Dan to learn about what happened with Minami and to be like, that seems kind of that sucks.
They say they really liked episode 30. It feels like this is one of the few times the hero just straight up fucked up and got innocent kills, and the show is like has the characters show real guilt for it in a real way for them overall this batch.
The Hokuto, we kind of skipped over it. Hokuto is like pretty shook up about that. He's like sitting at home like, damn, I did kill those 3 people. I do generally feel like, this is like something that he gets to like just be like, oh, I have to get over this issue so I can be a real hero again. And it's all just kind of water under the bridge in a way that is like doesn't quite vibe with like the grounded issue of I was doing my job and made a bad decision and 3 people died, which is like,
yeah, there is a wedge you could make here between Hokuto the weird alien hero man who can run out and go do things and have an impact and meaningfully change things, versus Hokuto, the guy who's part of the big organization that needs to do, like, smaller but still important tasks, like, hey, this road should be blocked off, make sure people don't get through, and, like, maybe you shouldn't allow people to necessarily just, like, get through even in, like, times, like, you know, there's a decision that was made there, and, you know, him being him, he's like, it should be okay, everything will work out, and that is extremely not what happens, and it doesn't have the impact you think it would, I feel.
You know what some good episodes?
What?
The big ass episode of Ultra 7 and the Marushi episode of Return of Ultraman.
True.
Oh, yeah.
True.
But yeah, I do like that he's in his feelings about it for a while.
Yeah,
He's
I
in
like it
Sims
when
too.
I like it when Hokuto sucks. Is suffering. Is suffering. Sorry. Freudian slip. I just think Hokuto fucking sucks.
He's like the guy who like gets divorced and becomes the worst version of himself.
Yeah.
Was there more to the email?
Yeah, just one more sentence. I had to reread it a couple times because I think they forgot a word, which I inserted in my understanding. Overall, this batch, and up to currently where they're at, which is episode 40, justifies their feeling that the decision to remove Minami and Yapul just feels like a lesser Return of Ultraman and even Mirror Man, but maybe the last 12 episodes will be better. That's encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah.
7 more weeks.
Seven more weeks of podcasts that we'll have more to, you know, we have stuff to talk about. It's we'll live, we'll survive. As you know, we're gonna have to watch bad shows. That's how it is.
At least it's not like 100 episodes of Seed.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch 100 episodes of Seed. I just did it way quicker.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that, though.
Yeah,
imagine doing the work.
I'm curious if Ace is gonna make me a 2-time speed sicko. I've not yet.
I think
No,
I've
have you not yet?
I can't stand watching shit sped up.
Oh, that's fair.
I usually watch things somewhat sped up. I usually, for this show, I don't, because I'm like, well, I'm doing the work. But for some of this batch, I was like, I can a little bit.
Even for like stuff like this, I'm like, the change in pacing like really fucks with my head in a way where I'm like, I feel like I'm not sitting with things like the director wanted me to, and like I'm like, can I really talk about it if it's meta? But like that's just a me weird hang up thing.
No, it's fine. It's a hang up. I certainly understand. Like I try not to watch these shows sped up. I think partway through the second episode, I sped it up, and I was just like, I'm just not putting up with this kid. And then I watched 30 down at normal speed because I was like, okay, this is like, first of all, the director is going out of their way to like, this is like a good looking episode. They're like putting in some effort. Unfortunately, they're also doing some other shit. But yes, I understand.
I do like the shot of the N31 of just like the guards carrying the tapir down the alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a white box, right?
Yeah.
There's the incredible moment where the firing squad shoot at the tapir and Mio out of frame, but her red balloon in frame pops. And I was like, hell yeah, that's fucking cool.
I mean, we have from the special effects director.
Yeah.
You know, in hindsight, it is kind of funny that the guy who directed a Golgo 13 thing is also the guy directing the episode where a firing squad almost executes a tapir. I don't know why, but that makes me smile.
Right. Well, thank you for your email, Logan. We have now finally got through it. And yeah, I assume you don't have any other emails?
Nope.
No other emails. Okay, in which case, that is a podcast. plugs. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Ultra_Q. That is at Ultra_QUEUE. Mel.
Hi, you can follow me at DeCrowns on the 2 sites that you know. Brad.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at BeInvoked. That's BE_INVOKED. I'm on YouTube and Twitter.
Oh yeah, also ultracubepod@gmail.com for the email.
Yeah.
All right, sick. Join us next time for 3 more episodes of Ultraman Ace. Yeah, you unfortunately, yes, including you, Mel. No escape. Yeah, we'll see you there. You know, it can't get worse than this.
Don't say that.
We should get a Dan for the podcast.
If I'm wrong, I will play the clip of me saying that at the beginning of next week's episode before the music kicks in. Absolutely, I will. It will not get worse than this week.
You should put this AVGN audio in this episode just so the audience can know my things.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Later.